In any way, when we come to meetings of this kind, or just on Codels to different strategic areas of the world, our three pillars of our presentation or our pursuit of information has always been security, first and foremost, economics, because economics are central to the strength of a democracy, and governance, as you spoke of, Mr. Prime Minister. Governance. As you mentioned, we're not just, NATO is not just a security alliance, it's a values, a cohesion built around values. And governance, again, is about our values. It's an expression of integrity, and it is a way to stave off corruption, which is so destructive to democracies, or those countries who aspire to more freedom. So I was glad to learn about the discussion for the Center for Democratic Resilience, the Center for Democratic Resilience that President Connolly was talking about, increasingly made more necessary because of autocracy raising its head and challenging democracy in many places, as well as the corruption that frequently goes with autocratic rules. So the peaceful world, the world at peace that you talked about, is one that is furthered not just by security and fairness in our economies, but it's also about values and governance. And that is so important. And that is really this center, what are we calling it? The Center for Democratic Resilience is in furtherance of NATO's purpose. It really is. The furtherance of its purpose is also realization of the role of women, an equal participation of women in security matters. NATO, thank you, Secretary General, has recognized that with the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, with its work to mainstream a gender perspective into peacekeeping operations and prioritizing greater representation of women in all decision-making levels. There's great humility and pride that I accept this inaugural Women for Peace and Security Award. I do so with deep appreciation of the contribution of NATO to advancing gender equality in the arena of peace and security. So thank you so much. I'm very honored to receive that. This honor is particularly meaningful to me because for over 25 years, starting as a member of Intelligence and an ex officio as Speaker of the House, Intelligence it really made me the first speaker, first leader actually, in the Congress for generations to ever have a security credential going into that office. The first time, imagine, all those years, all those men, none of them had been in the committees of security. And I really respect my colleagues for respecting the importance of that. One of the goals was to bring more diversity, as Mr. Connolly mentioned, more diversity of more women, more people of color into the intelligence community, because when we talk about our security, we talk about our military, very important, our diplomacy, very important, but also our intelligence aspects of that. So I wanted the face of America's security to be more about women, people of color, in all of those aspects. So this award, it means a lot to me, and I will share it with my colleagues, many of the women in Congress who serve in leadership roles on the Armed Services Committee, the Intelligence Committee, Foreign Affairs Committee, Homeland Security Committee, and the rest. But this is not about mere representation, it's about leadership in those regards. I also think, but, I'm just saying, that when we're fighting corruption, women are great champions in fighting corruption wherever it may exist. And fighting corruption is strengthening democracy. A lot of voices of women are needed, have always been needed, but right now, when we talk about Afghanistan, it's so much in our hearts and our minds. I wear this ring given to me by the women made by the women of Afghanistan. I've been there many, many times over the last 20 years. And we visited the women, and of course in Kabul, the very accomplished women, lawyers, doctors, university heads, leaders in every way, and so impressive. But also to visit in the hinterlands, the poorest of the poor women, beggars, really, people working in agriculture and the rest, who are very poor but were very thrilled that their daughters could go to school. But one time I was on a trip, took a fixed wing, helicopter, armored car. Practically, I thought we were going to ride a donkey to get to where these people were. So remote were the regions we were going to. The women said, "We just want to meet with you alone. No men." We had a women's delegation. We would take a delegation of women to visit the women many times. And those women, as poor as they were, they said, "You want us to send our daughters to school, and we want to do that. You want them to take advantage of health centers. We want them to go there, but we cannot let them leave the house until we have security. And we can't have security until we end corruption in our country." Imagine, as unsophisticated, well, they were educated in many ways, but not formally. They understood the connection between freedom and ending corruption. So we cannot ever forget them, and I want to salute NATO, because the NATO alliance was so instrumental for having a whole generation, 20 years, of women and girls to receive educations that they would have never received without the NATO presence, the allies, the alliances in Afghanistan. Now we cannot let that go, slip away. We must keep our focus there, keep these women close to our hearts as we go forward, because it's not just about the women, it's about what it means for Afghanistan. It's not just about Afghanistan, it's what it means about security in the world, the women of Afghanistan. And again, I salute NATO for the success and cooperate U.S., NATO, and other countries' success in Afghanistan. And commend you as well, Mr. Prime Minister, and your country for your involvement there.